right, we love talking Kentucky football with Kevin Mcguffey from Last Word on College Football, and Mark Stoops got himself a linebacker that was a bit of a surprise to some, and so we're going to go to Kevin and talk it up. Kevin, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Always glad to be on with you, and we got talking some great football, and then the UK basketball team's trying to get a win right now. So we'll see if they can actually pull one out this time. But yeah, no, Trevin Wallace, great pickup for Stoops, and it's somebody that. A position there's a post on him at Last Word on College Football, a definite position of need for Kentucky. He's I said a linebacker, and he played. Not only did he play linebacker, he played all over. He played on both sides of the ball. He played some quarterback. He played running back. He played wide receiver. You name it, he kind of did it. And he's a guy that I think that. May take a little bit, but, they're expecting big things out of him, possibly from, the beginning of the season, starting in September.
Yeah, so I got to tell you that I looked into Trevin Wallace a couple of weeks ago. I was running down those handful of players in the top 150 that were not yet signed, and he obviously stood out. And Kentucky was in the mix, but based on everything I could gather, wasn't necessarily a destination that many had predicted. So this has to feel good and be a bit of a surprise on National Signing Day.
You're exactly right. Most of the buzz, he had committed to Boston College last summer and then decommitted in November. And then, a lot of the buzz up until the last few days was around Auburn, especially. I think as Auburn and Ole Miss, and then Kentucky was kind of, right there. John Summerall was the guy who was the lead recruiter for this one. And somewhere around maybe 24 hours ago, all of the crystal balls, 247 rivals all started going towards Kentucky. And then, got up this morning, and then you probably didn't see the press conference. He pulled the old switcheroo that so many recruits like to do these days. He had Auburn, Ole Miss. He had like an Auburn football and stuff, and had it sitting there, and everybody thought, oh, he's going to Auburn. He knocked that out of the way, and then stood up and had the Kentucky shirt on. So, but Kentucky fans, we've seen that happen in football and basketball. I don't know how many times where, a recruiter comes up and says, hey, I'm going to Kentucky. And he's like, no, psych, I'm going, somewhere else. But like I said, it was a great pickup for the Cats. And like I said, it's somebody they could really use because, the linebacker position, you and I have talked before, Kentucky's pretty strong. Almost every place on the ball going into 2021, but the linebacker position is a little weak with Jamin Davis and Boogie Watson, both, one graduating and the other declaring for the draft. Like I said, he's a guy that they think can come in and start, and play right off. So definitely a big pickup and a good surprise for Kentucky.
So, I got to tell you, Kevin, I've been here all day, been talking National Signing Day since 10 a.m. I've been locked into here. I've asked our viewers, hey, you need to keep me updated on anything that happens because basically I'm just talking to whoever the beat writer is for that particular team, and I'm not necessarily being able to track some of these signings, but I did see the Trevin Wallace signing come down. And the other thing is I wasn't able to prep for anything else that we might need to discuss here with Kentucky football. So anything in recent weeks since the last time we were able to sit down on the Wildcats, whether it's transfer portal or anything else?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing I think for Kentucky fans, and I know you've talked about this with your Nebraska guys, is Wandel Robinson. You and I haven't talked about it since then because that happened since the last time I've been on with you. But yeah, Wandel Robinson, from Frankfurt, just up the road here. Originally committed to Kentucky in 2019, then flipped his commitment and went to Nebraska. There's, there was a little bit, I think, there's a little bit of hurt feelings, but I think also in football and recruiting, you have to let that slide. And so, yeah. And then he decides, we had been hearing talk about it, that he was going to possibly, he was leaving Nebraska. We knew he was pretty sure he was leaving Nebraska, but we'd heard Purdue, and then we heard Kentucky was probably the top two destinations. And yeah, then there he was. And he says, I'm coming back to Kentucky. And so, Stoops, new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, they've got what I think is a true home run threat. Someone, it's one of those things that Kentucky's kind of been missing. I mean, you had Lynn Bowden as a receiver who, of course, 2 years ago just did everything, but it's that true, home run threat, basically get touchdown anytime he catches, he touches the ball possibly, a chance to take it to the house. And that's something that Kentucky's has been missing. And then so you put him in, and then with Josh Ali, who's decided to take advantage of the NCAA granting you an extra year. So now Kentucky has a 1-2 punch at receiver that they haven't had probably maybe in a decade or more since, Keenan Burton and some, Chris Matthews, some of those guys. I don't know if they played, I can't remember if they played at the same time, but, it's something like that. And so you have Josh Ali, who has been Kentucky's best receiver the last couple of years, and now he's your number 2 guy. And so you've got, it's a lot of excitement now with the program, because you already have the strong running game, and now you feel like you've got that home run threat at wide receiver. So like I said, Wandel Robinson, a huge, we're all assuming he will be eligible to play this year. But that's probably the biggest thing going on with the Cats, other than the new, offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, who was the quarterback's coach with the Rams. And then they hired Jamal Singleton, who was the running back coach with the Bengals. He's the new Kentucky running back coach. And so Stoops, went to the NFL to hire a couple of guys. And like I said, people were really, really excited. And the fact that, the basketball season hasn't gone up to Kentucky standards. Now everybody's like, okay, we're waiting for September 4th and that Louisiana Monroe game. They can't get here soon enough.
Well, any of the ill will that might have been directed toward Wandel Robinson immediately goes away, because the guy can make plays. So he's back on our side, and he's making plays, or he could potentially make plays. Wandel Robinson was certainly one of the few threats that they had there in Nebraska that really pulled through. Mm-hmm. And in hearing from our Nebraska contacts, and actually just me watching Wandel Robinson, for a very diminutive player, he never had an issue with running between the tackles, doing whatever was asked of him. A very tough runner, in addition to his explosiveness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're 100% correct. Like I said, now the hurt feelings, that might be more people, message boards and Facebook, Twitter kind of things. But as I said, I think in recruiting, you know better than me. I'm sure, a lot of that just goes by the wayside. If somebody wants to come, you're certainly going to take him. So, but yeah, like I said, I watched him. I watched him at Nebraska, and, would say like, man, it'd been great if he had come here, seeing some of the things that he can do. And like I said, now we're going to have him. And it's really, really, really exciting now with heading into September. Like I said, you and I joked, I think when we talked last time, that I think you might have been a year ahead on your predictions for Kentucky. So, because, you were all in, on it last year. And I really think with the schedule, it's pretty good on the beginning, pretty good on the end. It's a little tough in the middle, but I really think an 8-9 win season should be a real possibility. And that's what I think, 8 wins at least should be what they're starting with for this year. And anything else is just adding on and, improving your bowl game.
Well, Kevin, you've come to my defense a few times on my Kentucky prediction, and I so much appreciate that, because, man, that one gets thrown in my face about every other day still, like, 6 weeks after the season's over, and I still hear that every couple of days about picking Kentucky to win the SEC Eastern Division. But I'll also remind some people, if you're picking all the all the conferences and all the teams, and I'm throwing out a record for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I added it up the other day, and I think I included this in a prediction video, but threw this out the other day that I was within one game of like something like 85% of the teams in the Power
Mm-hmm.
Five. So Kentucky was one of the outliers there. All right, Kevin.
Right. And but the thing about it is, it had Kentucky, ifs, ands, and buts, of course, but had Kentucky played their normal schedule, they would have won at least 8-4. They would have gone at least 8-4, maybe 9-3 last year, because they wouldn't have played Alabama and Ole Miss. Now, granted, they should have beat Ole Miss. That's the missed extra point. They had so many chances to win that game, but then you don't play Alabama, then you gain the 3 games, the gimme games, as we like to call them, and then Louisville, who I think they would have beaten. So, they might not have finished first, but they could have been, right there. They were going to be right there. But, like I said, obviously, things happen. Obviously this year that's been out of everyone's control. And but as I said, I think you're just a year ahead. Now, whether they're going to win the SEC East, I don't know. But I think I think they're going to be right there. Second, third. So at least that's my opinion as we're talking tonight. So.
Hey, Kevin, I'm looking at the transfer portal for Kentucky. I'm going to run them all down. You just let me know of anything else that's meaningful, that's significant, in addition to what you ran down concerning Wandel Robinson. So we got Terry Wilson. Obviously, we've discussed this in the past. He's in the portal. Nick Scalzo went in the portal, decided to come back to Kentucky. Jonathan Mosley's in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
You got Nicholas Ognovic, who's in the portal. You got Justice Dingle, who actually is an acquisition through the portal from Georgia Tech to Kentucky.
Right.
You got,
Yep. I was going to say, no, he's the brother of Kentucky, current Kentucky commit Jordan Dingle from out around Bowling Green. So I think he was at Georgia Tech before. And he's coming in this year. Again, another guy who can hopefully add some help on that defensive side of the ball. But yeah, a lot of those guys, it's the thing, just looking for more playing time. With Scalzo put his name in the portal and then didn't really find anything that was jumped out at him or any big suitors or whatever, and so he decided to come back. And as we've learned over the last couple of years with Kentucky, especially, you can never have too many quarterbacks. So, you think about 2 years ago with Wilson and Sawyer Smith and, having to put Lynn Bowden at quarterback. So, and there's, there's been talk that Kentucky's looking possibly at adding a quarterback. I haven't heard the name escapes me right now, but it's the quarterback from Penn State who's transferring out.
Will Levis.
Do what?
Will Levis.
Yeah, I think that's who it is. Kentucky. There's nothing concrete, but I think that's the name that's one name that we've heard around here was a possible transfer from Penn State that Kentucky would like to have. One more quarterback, because right now you have Joey Gatewood and Bo Allen, who basically have played limited minutes. And then after that, you have Kaya Sharon, who's a true freshman from, Somerset, just, down from where I grew up. I think we talked about, I played football with his dad many, many years ago in high school. So, they're looking to add someone now, whether it's that, that player or somebody else remains to be seen. But yeah, like I said, I still have not heard anything about Terry Wilson. He put his name in the portal and we figured somebody would jump in really quick and he'd find somewhere to go. But I, to my knowledge, have not heard of any, where he's going to end up. So which I thought was honestly kind of surprising so far.
So what position was a young Kevin Mcguffey playing on the Gridiron?
I played everywhere, actually. I played linebacker. I played on the offensive line, and I was the kicker. So, so for Lincoln County High School and Stanford Stanford, wonderful Stanford, Kentucky. So, but yeah, I played all over the place. But yeah, linebacker, offensive line, and then I was the kicker. So
nice. All right, everyone. Last word on college football has been so good to us. We've appreciated their support throughout the years, whether it's Kevin, Tony Siracusa, Jason Ray, both of whom were on earlier today giving reports on Oklahoma and UCLA. So, Kevin, we appreciate you stopping by as always and encourage everybody to stop on over to Last Word on College Football.